about humanity. About humanity. It's all about humanity. About humanity. It's all about humanity. It's all about humanity. About humanity. It's all about humanity. About humanity. It's all about humanity.
Good evening, Bitcoiners. It is the 24th of May, 2021. I am Brian, the UK Bitcoin Master, and this is your UK Bitcoin Master live show. And we're going to start the show off with Strong Bitcoin Hand. That is the name of the game of this show, people. Helping people to build a strong hand amongst all the rubbish and all the FUD and everything else is going on out there. All you need to do is buy, hold on a Trezor or a device offline, and then get on with life. That is the simplicity of it. And yet, people are pulled in all sorts of different directions by the FUD, by the mainstream, by media outlets, and maybe government institutions that clearly have a narrative to discredit it, etc. Don't buy any of it, people. Strong Bitcoin hand. Check out the disclaimer if you're new to the channel. You're not going to get any financial advice from me. You're not going to get any charts. You're not going to get any TA. You're not going to get any of that stuff. So if you're new, while I'm saying hello to some of our guests, check out below the disclaimer. Let's see who we've got in the house. I saw Andy BTC earlier. We've got Proud Zionist Jew in the house. Paul Rolau is with us. Who else have we got? Yorkie Bitcoiner, Wilco Delamar, welcome to you. Matthew Underhill's in the house. We have Rocky Palumbo. Welcome, Rocky. Elaine, my lovely wife, is in the house. Dave Shackelford, welcome to you. Buffy W is with us. James Stewart, Lizelle Lambrecht, welcome. Welcome, everyone. Don't forget, pound that like button, people. Really important. And don't forget to tweet this out. Oh, excuse me, I apologise. Let me get rid of the disclaimer because you should have read it by now. If you want to check out the videos I've done to date, ukbitcoinmaster.com. If you want to check out the live interviews that I've done to date, There you go, bitcoininterviews.com. You can also listen on the move on my podcast, on Anchor Podcast, which also streams it out then to Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, and others. So there's no excuse that you can't follow me somewhere. Get those out of the way. For anybody that wants to drop a lightning tip, there it is there. In the show notes, there is a BTC address if you want. But again, I'm not doing this show for any types of tips. I'm just doing the show so that I can go live twice a week and talk passionately about Bitcoin, my beliefs around Bitcoin, etc. So you shouldn't take anything I say as financial advice. You should always do your own research, get in the rabbit hole, learn what makes Bitcoin unique, draw your own conclusions, and then only buy what you can afford to realistically lose. Because, we are 12 years down the road. We do have, a coin that's sort of up. It's been at $1 trillion market cap. We're down a bit at the moment, as we all know. But you know what? It is still an experiment. We are looking forward to it being the future of money, but it's still an experiment. So you always have to keep in mind you could lose everything. Are you going to? Personal level, I don't think we're going to know, but it is a possibility. So only invest what you realistically can afford to lose. So let's get that out of the way. Okay, very, very quickly, make sure Graham Paul's in the house. Graham, welcome to you. Great to have you with us. Now, people, if you want to get my attention, if you just want to shout out live in the chat so that you feel part of my show, just type in UK Bitcoin Master and any message afterwards, and it will light it up bright orange for me, and I'll very happily give you a shout out. So let's get on over to the desktop. We always have a quick look at the price. Recovered somewhat from that 30k low, back around the low 37s at the moment. But who wants to be a trader when you are looking at candles like that? Yes, it's an hourly candle, but even so, who wants to be a trader when Bitcoin is up and down more than a fiddler's elbow, as I always like to say? So, the price is recovering somewhat now. I've been watching a few commentators that tend to understand charts and what they're looking for to see a Bitcoin breakout. A couple of them have said that they wouldn't be surprised if we go down even more yet before finally we turn a corner and we see tons of green candles. Again, they don't know really. They're just, analysts, and they give us their idea on what they think is going to happen. But of course, we can't predict what's going to happen. So just buy and hold. And as Rocky rightly says there, DCA, which if you're new is dollar cost averaging. BTFD is by the flipping dip. MM is the Mare multiple. Find out what that is. Plus HODL, or hold on for dear life, equals a winning strategy. And I couldn't agree more. Another way to look at that, if you start a business, a bank would, if they were going to loan you some money, they would say, I want to see a 5-year business plan. If you take that mentality investing in Bitcoin and you give it 5 years, you will never, ever, ever lose your money. When I look at what we've invested to where we are 4 years on now, May the 23rd, which was yesterday, was my 4th anniversary year, or fourth year anniversary in Bitcoin. We are way, 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 way up on what we invested, even with this huge correction. That's how you have peace of mind, because none of it is needed. It's not leveraged. We don't need it to live our daily lives. And if you can do that, work out what you can afford to do, you'll be in a really good place in 4 years. My Bill 66, welcome to the show. Great to have you with us as well. So let's get into some things I found. Now, I've got several tweets I want to talk about, but the headline was, oh crikey, I can't even forget what my flipping headline was now. A huge correction, yeah, but I can't remember what it was. That's because I'm doing a live show. A huge correction, but all the fundamentals are in place. And if you do your research, you will find that even though there are corrections, the fundamentals, everything is in place and you've got nothing to worry about. And yet people freak out. They don't listen. They don't have a learning comprehension. And I think if there's one thing that I've got going in my favour is when I find something I get passionate about, I want to know everything about it. I learn, I keep learning. And if you do that, you can't go wrong in Bitcoin. Pio Lopez, welcome. Great to have you in the house. Yeah, that is is the Mayer multiple. Just Google it on YouTube. It will come up. Somebody be talking about it. Okay, right. So in terms of FUD, in terms of, oh my goodness, what's happening with Bitcoin? Here's one I found from the BBC, and there's nothing to show you underneath. But if you're new and you see a headline from the BBC, they only tell the truth, don't they? Not. Is Bitcoin bad for the environment? You know, that jumps on the FUD that's gone before, this narrative about Bitcoin is boiling the oceans. If you learn how Bitcoin is mined, how it uses a large percentage of renewable energy, you know, sunlight, etc., you know, you'll understand that these narratives, they just don't have a clue, and half the time there's another agenda. And the reason I'm saying that is because I could pull loads of articles, you know, that talk about Bitcoin. I found this one. Well, it was sent to me today. Look at this. This is breaking news today. Ray Dalio, I have some Bitcoin. So I think I highlighted something to talk about here. Yes. Bridgewater Associates founder Ray Dalio said the US dollar is on the verge of devaluation on a level last seen in 1971, and that China is threatening the greenback's role as the world reserve currency. In such an environment, Bitcoin, with its gold-like properties, looks increasingly attractive. That is Ray Dalio saying that as a savings vehicle, said Dalio, whose firm started 2021 with 109 billion in assets under management, making it the world's largest hedge fund. So, FUD, Bitcoin's boiling the oceans. Would somebody with his head get into Bitcoin if he believed in that narrative? No, I don't think so. Personally, he said, I'd rather have Bitcoin than a bond in an inflationary scenario, Dalio said during an hour-long conversation with Coinbase chief content officer. Now his interest is more than hypothetical or academic. I have some Bitcoin, Dalio volunteered in the middle of the interview, recorded on May the 6th, to be broadcast this Monday during Consensus by Coindesk 2021. I think the point is we don't know what he's got. We don't know if he's got it through an institution, whatever. We don't know if he's got it and holding his own keys. Probably not. The point is this is a big dude and he is talking, I hold Bitcoin. So, you've got to look at the right information. We've got Bill Miller also saying, he's unfazed by the falling Bitcoin price. Unfazed. These are big dudes in the world. People know these. Anybody in finance know who these names are. You've got the ARK Investment CEO, can't think what her flipping name is now, still reaffirming she believes a 500k Bitcoin price prediction. Kathy, hold on. Kathy Wood, sorry, brain went dead. The CEO of ARK Investment Management, Kathy Wood, still predicts that the price of Bitcoin will be 500k. She says that all indicators are suggesting that we are in a capitulation phase, which is a really great time to buy, no matter what the asset is. So, as Bitcoin Meister or Proud Zionist Jew put in the chat at the very start, we are just wheedling out the weak hands. When you get into Bitcoin, you've got to learn how to be a strong hand 20%er. And if you don't, the first sign of Bitcoin going down without understanding the fundamentals, you're going to bug out, you're going to sell your Bitcoin and listen to somebody else around you that's telling you ought to get out, that thing's going to zero when it flipping isn't. So Then I saw this article, Faversham, that's in Kent in the UK. Faversham Bar makes Kent first in accepting cryptocurrency payment. And there on the bar, you can clearly see the QR code. Look at this, people, because this is the future. Now, I'm not saying this will be Bitcoin, this will be some other coin, but we will make payments by literally scanning a barcode, and we will ultimately, down the road, use it. We'll buy goods, services, coffee, etc. Not with my Bitcoin, I have to say, not at this stage of the game for sure. But the point is, this is happening, and, you've got to find the right information. Do your research on... Well, find out what is FUD, what is hype. Don't listen to hype. Certainly don't listen to FUD. Do your own research. Become a student of Bitcoin and you will not go far wrong. I promise you. Hold on a second. Here we go. My cursor has gone again. Looks like my mouse is frozen. There you go. Got it back. Very, very quickly, a quick shout to Matthew. Matthew Underhill wrote this book. He was on our 21 Million Club private Zoom meetup on Saturday evening. We had an absolute blast for 3 hours. Anyone that wasn't on it that's in the 21 Million Club, you missed a really fantastic meetup. We discussed anything and everything from personal to Bitcoin. It was an incredible meetup, and you really should, if you're going to be a follower and a supporter of my show twice a week, then you can be part of that club, providing you're Bitcoin only. You don't come on the show and swear. People know by now that I'm not a fan of swearing. And if you are on Twitter, you retweet anything I tweet. That's it, really. And talk about Bitcoin. You can become part of the 21 Million Club. And you can actually chat offline with great people in the Bitcoin space that are part of that club. And they'll share ideas that you'll never normally get when we're out there on live. And some of them even charge for their services ordinarily, but we'll talk good Bitcoin stuff on the Zoom meetup because we're not online for the world to see, and share great hints, tips and ideas. So, you ought to at least ask if you can be part of that 21 Million Club. You can do that, by the way, in the show notes at the very bottom. You will find an email address for me. Reach out. I'll happily tell you the criteria if you are thinking of becoming part of the 21 Million Club. Here's the book, Matthew Underhill's book. It is a superb book for a beginner in Bitcoin. You can see what it's got on the back. You can see it on the screen. Great for a beginner, great to give to a family member or something as a gift, a Christmas gift, a birthday gift or something. Check it out on Amazon, people. I've read it twice. It really, really is a fantastic book indeed. Moving on, I did say I've got some great tweets to talk about. Here's a great one. Now think about this. I just don't want to read these tweets. I do it because I'm helping you to build your strong hand. That's why I do this. It says here, in 2014, it was luck to buy Bitcoin. Don't quite know what they mean by that because I believe we make our own luck. You put yourself in the situation, do some research, but luck to buy Bitcoin. In 2017, it was a smart move to buy Bitcoin. I bought my first 5 Bitcoin in 2017. So dead proud that I'm part of that smart move movement. In 2021, it was common sense to buy Bitcoin. In 2025, it was no longer an option to buy Bitcoin. Well, of course it is. You can buy Satoshis. But I think the message there is, we all get into Bitcoin at a time that is right for us. But in 2025, you could very well see a $500,000 Bitcoin, $1 million Bitcoin. We don't know. And then, of course, what you're getting for your money is just a handful of sats, because the sats will go up in value because of one whole Bitcoin is way out of reach of the masses. So, if you decide that Bitcoin is for you to invest, build your strong hand, and I call it a strong stomach as well. When you see those red candles flying down and down and down and down and down and down, it is so easy to think, oh, strong hand, people. Understand that when those candles are going down, it is the most incredible buying opportunity to buy Bitcoin on sale. Whoops, I don't know what just happened there. Let me move that over. So what else have we got? Stephen Chow. Reminder, the 99% disagrees with you about Bitcoin or has spent zero time thinking about it. closer to 99.9% if we're talking about going all in. You know, they say, diversification is the key. Don't have all your eggs in one basket. I don't really understand finance, stocks, etc. But there is only one basket that I want my hard-earned lifetime money in. And it's Bitcoin. Yeah, I take a risk that it either goes to the moon or it goes to zero, but that's my choice. Okay, you've got to decide what's right for you. But if you want to know why you should invest in Bitcoin, just get onto YouTube and Google in YouTube or search in YouTube Michael Saylor and watch some of his videos as to why he believes, anything else is just losing value over time. He calls it a melting ice cube. And yet Bitcoin is the pristine asset of the future that is going to go up and up and up and up forever, people. So get hold of some Bitcoin. I am all in on Bitcoin. Seriously. John Vallis, a great guy. He's been on Bitcoin Meister's show many times. He's a very well-respected dude in the space. Thinking that Bitcoin will fail is excusable. It's very unlikely, but not impossible. And I said that a few minutes ago. Thinking that Bitcoin succeeding would be a bad thing is inexcusable and reveals staggering levels of incompetence, arrogance, and moral corruption. And possibly all three. To sum it up, if you think Bitcoin succeeding is a bad thing, that is total ignorance. Because if you did your research, you would understand why Bitcoin is an incredible thing for the world. How it's going to change the world over time. I can't begin to break that down on this show for you. But if you don't get that, that is just blind ignorance, because you'd rather watch rubbish on the television than get in the rabbit hole and learn about money, Bitcoin, what makes it so unique, so special, etc. So this is a really profound tweet, actually, I must say. Barge Dobnik, welcome to the show. Great to have seen you on the 21 Million Club, Barge, on Saturday. What else? Simon Lutz, Bitcoin is killing the environment. Now, that's a narrative that's out there across social media, isn't it? And the mainstream media. It's killing the environment. And if you believe that, again, you're ignorant. Meanwhile, there's an effort to rip out some of the 20 million tons of gold from the sea floor with heavy machinery, destroying entire habitats of wildlife. Compare that to the ASICs plugged in to an electrical socket. Bitcoin is not boiling the oceans. It's not killing the environment. I'm not going to try and explain that here. That is down to you, the noob, the early investor or the new investor in Bitcoin, to find out why. There are plenty of channels, plenty of commentators, plenty of videos out there on YouTube that will help you to understand that. When I got into Bitcoin on May the 23rd, yesterday, 4 years ago, 2017, I never had even heard the word cryptocurrency. I'd never heard the word Bitcoin. When Gary, my friend, called me, I went, what the hell is that? I just did not know. What sets me and people like me apart from those that lose out, don't catch this vision, miss out on something that can change their family's life forever, is the fact that I'm happy to get in and learn about something and apportion my time to learning as opposed to portioning my time to watching TV where we make actors wealthy. Now, do I watch TV now and again? Yeah, I want to chill out like anybody else. Sometimes Elaine and I will just sit and we'll just watch documentaries or sport or something. But, what I want is enough of my day, enough of my week, enough of my month and my year learning about what I'm involved in. Because then no matter what happens to the short-term price, I don't have any problem with the fundamentals of Bitcoin. And remember the title, the fundamentals of Bitcoin have not changed, people. It is as strong as ever. The articles at the front end of the show, some of those huge billionaires talking about where Bitcoin is going in the future, underpins that headline. And that's why I put that headline there. Jan Pritzer from Swan. I believe he was the founder of Swan, if I'm not mistaken. I may be wrong, or one of the founders. While some panic sell and play games trying to time the market with shorts, businesses, IRA accounts, and high net worth people are buying, and they're buying in size. How do I know? How does he know? We had our biggest week ever at Swan, and here's the big one. We have no sell button. So it's just buy, DCA, dollar cost averaging. If you buy the FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt, if you buy the FUD, someone else buys your Bitcoin. Every time you sell your Bitcoin because you got a weak hand, that is being mopped up by a strong hand. It might be someone like me. It might be somebody like Rocky. It might be anybody in this chat. It might be Michael Saylor. It might be a big institution. But as my old dad used to say, God rest his soul, as sure as eggs are eggs, if you are selling because of FUD, someone else is buying your Bitcoin. Never, ever sell the most pristine asset the world has ever known in human living history. Buy it, hold it, hand it down through generations, and be a member of your family that future generations will talk about, and they'll revere you as so visionary that you captured the vision and secured their future with Bitcoin. That's profound, people. Pubby, Guy Bennett is his name. I love this one. If we look at the middle part first, he did a tweet back in 2018. He said, I know what you mean. I am one of the lucky ones who started last December, which was December 2017, when Bitcoin was pumping up near its 20,000 all-time high, and Guy jumped in on the FOMO of that high. He said, but honestly, every time I accumulate more Bitcoin, it feels great as it is on a huge discount. Remember, this is early 2018. I understand now how it will transform the world and have no reservations if it drops to $1,000. And then he responded to his own tweet. Bitcoin Twitter was a much quieter place in 2018 as we were preparing for dips to $1,000. Keep that strong hand and hodl on. Now, that's hindsight. Even when I got in and bought my first Bitcoin, I believe it was £2,050 for 1.047 Bitcoin. I don't know why I did that, but I did. And then we saw it, go up, then come back down again. That is the same in percentage terms as what is going on today. But of course, they're larger chunks down and larger chunks up in money terms, fiat terms, but it's still the same percentage. And there we go again. The fundamentals are still in place. It is still doing what it's always done, but ultimately it will go up. And ultimately there will be some big green candles coming not too far away. That might be weeks, it might be months, it might be days. None of us have got a crystal ball. We really haven't. Yeah, Proud Zionist Jew said Jan is great. Jan Pritzer really is great. In fact, I have to say, all of the dudes over there at Swan are great. Now, I've reached out to Corey to try and get him on as a guest on my show. I've had Brady on my show. I reached out to Brecky and he was... seemed like he was too busy, but I would love all those dudes to come on as one of my guests. So if any of you have got direct DMs to them and they talk to you, maybe you'd be kind enough to say, hey, you ought to go on UK Bitcoin Masters show. And, as a guest, I would love to interview these people, but I've tried to reach out to many of the big hitters within Bitcoin, the ones with thousands, tens of thousands of followers. And of course, my DM gets swallowed up in all those DMs that they're getting that they haven't, accepted, if you will. So they're not getting through. But would I love to interview more of the Swan guys? Yeah, I really would. So maybe you can help me if any of you guys have got direct DMs to them. That would be superb. But Guy Bennett, or Pubby as he's known now, this guy is rock solid. Strong hand or what? bought the top in 2018, rode it all the way down to 3K or whatever it was in 2018, bought the top in 2017, rode it down in 2018, then bought more over the ensuing years and is still holding now. And of course, if he bought his first Bitcoin at, say, 19,000, okay, for 2 or 3 years, he'd lost money on paper. But because he held it and he still got it, that 19,000 is now 37.6, according to this one. So did he lose money? No, he lost it on paper for 2 or 3 years, but there's that 4-year cycle that I keep referring to in there again, that if you're going to get into Bitcoin, don't get into Bitcoin unless you will learn about the cycles it goes through over 4 years. The 210,000 block theory that I learned from Bitcoin Meister, thank you, Adam. So that's really important that you get a handle on all of those if you're going to be involved in Bitcoin. Then we've got one from Michael Saylor. Bitcoin is coming to life. The volatility is the price you pay for it to be 10x, outperforming the S&P index over a decade. Here's the key. Over a decade, people. You just keep buying. You just keep holding. Michael Saylor is a really great guy for helping people build a strong Bitcoin hand. That's for sure. And then this one. And this one links to my quote coming up to finish the show. So don't disappear. People are going to call us lucky in the future. But each and every one of you knows that it took more than just luck to make it through the bear market. Yeah, conviction, definitely. And it will take more than just luck to survive this BTC correction. It's not easy, but it will be worth it. Here. I need to echo that. And if we come up to the quote, I love this one. When it gets difficult is often right before you succeed. When it gets difficult and we think, what's the point? You know, Bitcoin keeps going down. You go and sell out because you've got a weak hand and wallop. It turns round, the candles go through the roof and all of a sudden you are out of your position and you can't get back in unless you pay more for the same amount of Bitcoin or you get less Bitcoin. So just have that strong hand, people. So important you have a rock steady, strong Bitcoin hand. Seriously, that takes time. It takes learning. It takes giving up a little bit of that rubbish TV time. It's so worth it. This is going to change your lives, your children's, their children's lives if you understand this and you stack Bitcoin and you build yourself a position. Even 0.3 of a Bitcoin. When Bitcoin goes to $1 million, it's going to give you £300,000, dollars, whatever it is in fiat terms. But of course, going forward, we'll be measuring Bitcoin in Bitcoin. And one Bitcoin will always be one Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the next Bitcoin. There isn't going to be a next Bitcoin. $1 trillion asset. As Michael Saylor says, you know, there's only one horse in the race and that's Bitcoin. Just buy and hold. That's all you need to do. People, thanks for watching. I'm Brian, the UK Bitcoin Master. Thanks for being here. Please tweet this out. Please like it, share it, subscribe, bash the bell button and click all so you get notified when I go live. Do check out the notes. There's merchandise down there. There's all sorts of stuff down there. An email address to me if you want to reach out to me for any reason. I respond to all emails. I want to say hi to Casso, who's in the house. If I've missed anybody else out, Casso's in the house. Great to see you here, my good friend. If I didn't give you a shout out, my apologies. Matthew said, see Mrs. UK's message above. Thank you. Mrs. UK on the 21 million club. Oh, I forgot. That's the one thing I meant to start the show with, people. So, yeah, we've got a bit of a hyped up, bubbled up UK Bitcoin Master on Fire show. And now I need to bring that down with some sad news that I meant to start the top of the show with. So, my sincere apologies. For those of you that are regulars on this show, you know for the last couple of years, I've been supported and sponsored by JustLearnBitcoin.com. JustLearnBitcoin.com was headed up by Dan down in Mexico, and they sponsored my show. Dan also sent me bracelets, bless him. Also, we use JustLearnBitcoin.com as a platform also to help Pastor Phil get some of his Bitcoin back. And very sadly, I heard last week through Rocky that Dan lost his brave battle against an awful disease, and he sadly passed away. Now, this is terrible because Dan was in his 30s, we believe. So, no age to lose your life. Terrible thing to happen. And B, of course, this is a Bitcoin show, and Dan was a true Bitcoiner. He was on Bitcoin Meister's show a couple of times. So if you go to one of Bitcoin Meister's, last show I think he did, he referred to Dan on there. There's a couple of links to a couple of shows of Adam's where Dan was a guest on one of them with Vortex. And so you could see Dan, if you like, on the show. Pretty grainy picture, I have to say. But he was a nice guy. I spoke to him offline a few times. Rocky was really good friends with Dan, being, a partner initially in justlearnbitcoin.com. And it's just such an awful thing to happen to anyone, never mind a fellow Bitcoiner. Yeah, Adam, he is going to be missed. Dan was a really nice guy, and he was doing his best to be in motion down there in Mexico with his consulting site to help noobs learn about Bitcoin. So Dan, wherever you are, mate, rest in peace. We had a toast for Dan on Saturday, along with a pizza for Bitcoin Pizza Day. So Dan, wherever you are, my good man, it was a pleasure knowing you. R.I.P. That's my show, people. I'll be back on Thursday, as always, 6 p.m. London time. Come and join me. Bring a few of your guests over. Bring a few of your friends or your family over and get them to listen to this crazy Brit talking about Bitcoin. And you never know, you might get some of your family and friends into Bitcoin. That is it. I'm out of here. As always, I'm going to leave you with my social media links. I'm Brian, the UK Bitcoin Master, signing off for now. Have a great one wherever you are, whatever you're doing. Stay healthy. Look after yourselves. I'll be back on Thursday.